It's really difficult to learn Korean in Korea. So one time, a long time ago, I was in a Costco in Korea. And I was actually with a Korean friend. But if you've never been to a Costco, let me explain. There's a bunch of free sample tables where they give you like a little free piece of string cheese or a free little taste of piece of meat or whatever. There are a bunch of free sample tables, which is really cool. And this is in America and Korea and I think every Costco in the world. So I'm walking around with my Korean friend and I'm doing some shopping at Costco. And then they're giving free samples of wine, which is, I'm pretty sure, illegal in America. So I'm really interested. I'm like, oh, cool, like free sample of wine. I'll take a little drink of wine. So I go up there and there's the regular free sample lady who's giving out free samples. But then next to her is this guy who's dressed a little nicer. He looks like a manager or something. And there's a lot of foreigners that go to Costco's in Korea. And he sees me and he's smiling and he's so happy. And he's like, and then he gives me this big speech, like 30-second, 45-second speech in English while I'm like tasting the wine and trying it. And he goes, "This wine comes from the Napa region of California. In the Napa Valley, they have high quality grapes with no seeds, which makes it," and he just goes on and on. He's got like the sales pitch, but it's in English. And he's super proud of himself. And he's sitting there looking at me, and then he blah, blah, blah. He finishes his speech, and then I just look at him and I say, "영어 못해요." And he just, oh, and he gets really like embarrassed. He's like, "Oh, okay," and he just runs away, like really runs away. And I'm kind of doing that to mess with him a little bit, just because I think it's kind of funny. But this describes perfectly kind of the problem. I call it the native English speaker's curse. It's really awesome, and I'm super lucky that I speak the world's international language perfectly. That's awesome. But on the flip side, if I want to learn another country's language, I can't just go to that other country and immerse myself in the language. If I go to Russia and I try to learn Russian, there's going to be people who speak English. Some people will speak perfectly, but even not perfect speakers will be able to speak some English. I go to France, I want to learn French, same story. I go to Korea and I want to learn Korean. It's the same story, but it's like, it's even stronger. This problem is like even stronger in Korea. And let me explain a little better too. Like, for me, learning a language, the best way to learn a language, especially like speaking and listening, those things are really something where you have to be like natural and fluent and all that stuff. For me to learn a language well, you have to be in a difficult situation. And that's the idea when you learn a language in another country. You learn that country's language in their country, is that they don't know your language and you know their language, and you have to get through life using your skills as best you can. Like, imagine if there was a supervillain. There's a Korean supervillain, and he's going to kill my mom unless I can explain something to him in Korean. I'm going to figure out all of my skills. I'm going to put everything together so that I can save my mom's life. Now, at that moment, that will be like the best Korean skill I will ever used up until that moment, because it's like necessary. It's like a natural instinct to be like, okay, put it all together and do it. And after that moment, I will have learned a lot of Korean naturally because of like the need to actually speak Korean. This is, I think, the best way to learn English. Not to have your mom get captured by a supervillain, but, I'm sorry, to learn any language. Not to have your mom captured by a supervillain, but like to be in that necessary thing. And it's hard to do that as a native English speaker in any country because everyone knows their language. But then specifically in Korea, it gets even harder because I think number one is the way Korean people view education and learning things in general. I think Korean people view education as question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. If you're a student, teacher gives you a question, you need to answer it. You don't answer it, you failed and you didn't learn. If on the other hand you're a teacher and a student comes up to you with a question and then you answer it, well, the student has learned. Simple as that. That's how education works, and it's true to some degree. But you know, I think this works really well for like math and science. That's how math and science works. What's the answer to this? It's that. How did you get that? Here's how I got it. Done. The thing about languages is I think it's like half half math, half art. Half of it is grammar. Half of it is grammar and vocabulary, and those things are really like math. There's an answer. I know you guys have seen a million times some English sentence, there's a blank spot, and you gotta fill in the blank with the perfect word. That's fine, that's good practice sometimes. But then on the other side, there's like the art part, which is just talk, listen, practice, 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 and make that sentence naturally without having to think, what do I put into the blank, right? That's the part Korean people really suffer at. More than other people because of this mentality of just question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. Yes, question, answer is good, but also you need to go out there and practice. Like when the real bad part about this, and also, you know, Korean people speak English rather well. I know you guys don't think so, but Korean people are quite good, especially relative to like Japanese people, other Asian people, are quite good. So what ends up happening is I'll be hanging out with my Korean friend explicitly to practice Korean. Like, don't use any English, please just practice Korean. And I'll be talking, and then I'll just say like, oh, 뭐라고 했어요? Or, you know, 다시 말하세요. And they'll just go, English, and translate into English. Which totally ruins the whole like natural way of learning something, the art side of learning a language. And I don't want to sit there and do it every single time because they do it quite a bit. Like I have to keep going like, please don't use English, please. And I feel like a jerk constantly going like, please don't use English. And it's harder for them because then they have to try to explain the thing in only Korean, in simple Korean I can understand, and it makes it hard for them. And they're already doing me a favor, and I don't want to keep yelling at them, please only use Korean, please only use Korean, don't use English, don't use English. And they always go, oh, 미안합니다, okay. Like, if you look at the flip side, like when I was in France, a lot of French people, like I said, it's half, learning language is half art, half math. The French people were too much on the art side. They would just say, well, if you want to learn French, just watch French TV and hang out with my French friends. Like, you don't need to, like I was going to Ohaktang, you don't need to go to Ohaktang, just hang out with them. Now, you know what, you do need to go to Ohaktang sometimes. You do need to learn some vocabulary words from like a vocabulary list at some point. You do need to practice grammar. So I think Korean people are a little much on the math side. French people might be a little much on the art side. But to make a point, when I was hanging out with my French friends, they wouldn't translate to English if I asked them to. They're like, no, you have to learn this language, buddy. That's why you're in France. Like, I'm just gonna keep going on in French, which is super helpful and super nice. But like I said, this is just one of the problems. Another one of the problems is that Korean people are really proud to show their English. Now, some people are very shy and never want to speak English, but the people who do know some English or know English well, they really want to show it. Like that guy at the Costco. He was like, ooh, here's another white person. I'm going to practice my little speech. It's going to be so amazing. Finally, all that time I spent learning English. This is my moment. This is my chance. And he goes out there and then he gives his speech. And it's like, dude, I'm trying to learn Korean, man. Please don't say anything to me in English. I wish I could wear a sign that says, like, never speak English to me. But it's, in fact, because of my skin color, it's the exact opposite. It's always speak English to that guy. So a lot of Korean people want to kind of show off. If I'm hanging out with my Korean friend, just being with me is kind of cool for that Korean person, I think, because other Korean people see us and they think, wow, that Korean person's hanging out with a foreigner. They must be like really worldly and really cool. And on top of that, if we're speaking Korean, then the Korean people look at me and go like, wow, that foreigner could speak Korean. What an amazing guy. But if we're speaking English, then the Korean person gets even more credit. It's like, okay, they know foreigners, and also, wow, they must be really good at English if they're just speaking English to a foreigner. So you have these two big problems, which are, number one, the way Korean people look at education, which is question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. Foreigner has a problem, then I'm just going to translate from him into English. And they could do that, and Korean people could do that because your English is pretty good. And number two, Korean people want to finally use that English. They want to show people that they know English. They want some reason that they spent 10 years learning English, and like when they see me, I'm the biggest opportunity to do that. So they love to speak English to me. For those two reasons, it can be very difficult to learn Korean in Korea. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you hate this video, give it a thumbs down. If you love me or you hate me, hit the subscribe button. Why not? Also, leave a bunch of comments because I don't think this video is too controversial. But maybe it's something you never thought about before. If you're not an English native speaker, you don't know how difficult it could be for us to learn another language. And maybe you think I'm just an asshole, like, oh, it's so hard being a native English speaker. And maybe you think I said something you never heard before and you really want to, like, you're on the ball, way to go, buddy. Either way, leave those as comments down below. And of course, remember, please remember, have a super awesome day.